It's a waiver wire Wednesday. One of the top players coming off the waiver wire this week is Jauan Jennings. We looked at him last week. We did a unique video on him last week, but a lot of things have changed considering he was the wide receiver one in PPR in week 3. Everybody's excited about him. Everybody's got that FOMO because there's a lot of leagues out there. He didn't get picked up, and now he's getting picked up. People are wondering what they're getting into, what they're looking at when they're looking at Jauan Jennings, and whether or not they need him for fantasy football after that game. We're going to go over all that stuff right now. We're going to go over the advanced metrics, his situation, and everything else. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're doing these deep dives every day on as many players as possible. Those trending players, those guys climbing the waiver wire, those guys climbing the depth chart, those guys who are starting to suck. We're going to look into those guys as well. Click that button. Stop missing out because we're also going to help you set your lineups with these videos. But Jauan Jennings went off in week 3. 46.5 PPR fantasy points, in on 85% of the snaps, 12 targets, 11 catches, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The wide receiver one in week 3. Nobody was even close because he smoked the Rams in week 3, looking good. And his numbers were insane. 40% target share, which is unheard of. A good 8 out off 12 targets at 12.4. 149 air yards. 5.83 yards per team pass attempt. 3 is usually good. 5 is insane to get to. Ran on almost 90% of the routes with an 89.5 route participation rate. 34 routes ran. The work was there. The opportunities was there. It was the right matchup for him. Deebo's going to miss some time, so he's going to be getting more opportunities going forward, or at least a lot of opportunities going forward. It's hard to get more than that. George Kittle should be back to practicing this week, but he was out in week 3 due to a hamstring injury, and he was getting opportunities. Of course, you got 12 targets throughout the entire game. There's his game log of targets and opportunities, and they also signed him to an extension earlier this year. That is another sign that they like him. Of course they like him because he was on the field, but if you want more confirmation bias, it's right here. They signed him to an extension. He'll be with the team through 2025. You don't do that if you think the player's bad. You just don't do that. So there's more confirmation bias that Jennings is good for this team. They like him on the team. You're looking at the schedule. You see the Patriots coming up. You're kind of leery on that matchup, but it's going to be a funny one like always because it is the Patriots. But they're also kind of a pass funnel defense because they're locked down against the run and teams try to throw it on them. Jamar Chase, 12.2 PPR fantasy points in that matchup, but when you think about that game, it was just weird. It was a slow game script. Seattle wrote the book on the pass funnel there because they went off with Jackson and the Jigba and DK Metcalf, and then Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, both were productive from a fantasy football sense, and they're averaging 40.1 PPR fantasy points per game to the wide receivers in their matchups. That's 25% ahead of league average. So the odds are likely that the Niners are going to try to throw the football because they have these numbers too, if not more of them, which they should. And they're going to look at that saying, hey, we may want to win on the passing attack here. We may want to use both their wide receivers. We may want to push it because they are stout against the run. Zach Moss, 44 yards. Zach Charbonnet, 38 yards on the ground. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen tandemed up for over 100 yards. So that kind of broke that. But still, teams are throwing it more to the running back. Zach Moss, 4 targets. Chase Brown, 3. Zach Charbonnet, 5 targets. Breece Hall, 5. Braylon Allen, 3. So the Jets running backs tandemed up for 8 targets in that game. That being said, that's another indicator. That's a pass funnel defense. That teams are looking to pass it on this defense and not run it due to how stout they've been against the run. That being said, there's opportunities for him in the passing game in this matchup, and they might throw it a little bit more. And you're looking at Jauan Jennings. He's now leading the team in targets with 21 on the season. Brandon Ayuk's got 19 and a 20% target share. If you're leery about Brandon Ayuk, he's got a 20% target share. That's all right. Remember, he only had 4 wide receiver 1 weeks last year. He wasn't like this supreme wide receiver who was just cashing out every week. He had 4 wide receiver 1 weeks, a bunch of wide receiver 2 games, and some down games in between. so really give him some time to stable out. Jauan Jennings, though, 22% target share over the entire year, 21 targets on the season, 276 receiving yards. He's breaking out right now. Is it going to last the whole season? Well, when Deebo comes back, he's going to own a 30% target share. He has been the guy in the offense. He has been getting the short targets. He's good after the catch. Deebo is Deebo. George Kittle, when he's on the field, he's going to command target share. It's going to be hard for him to be consistent when everybody's back. But guess what? Everybody's not back right now, so you're going to get some opportunity too. And San Francisco runs a lot of plays. They have a 53% pass rate. They're averaging 34 passing plays per game. There's still some upside here with this team in the passing department when you're looking at them. But you don't need him. You're good at wide receiver. You're stacked. You rather stash running backs. He's already picked up off waivers. You're just here for the confirmation bias because you got him picked up. You started him last week. You got the results. You had him on your bench. But guess what? You got him going into week 4. And on top of that, no one else got the opportunity to start him, to beat you, or score more fantasy points to move up the standings. That being said, he's going to get workload going forward. And you need a wide receiver that needs targets. He's probably going to get 5+ per game while Deebo's out because he's going to be running about an 80 to 90% route participation rate. He's going to be on the field, and the ball's just got to go his way, which it should. And you're just going to have to let the chips fall where it may when that happens. But you're looking at a wide receiver here with Deebo Samuel out that's going to get workload and opportunities, and that's half the battle for fantasy production. And when you look at waiver wire wide receivers, there are not many wide receivers getting a good average depth of targets, pushing a 20+% target share on the weekly, and is on a team that is pushing the pace with plays ran. You're looking at Jennings here. You got some upside. Enjoy him while you got him. Play those matchups. See what you can do with them. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch them on the next video.